Christmas gift. Mike Dunn's top 5 Indy moments. We call it a timeline. Give them to us.
Well, there's so many, but I can remember in 1981, Don Prudhomme ran 5:63, about 2/10 quicker than the rest of the field in qualifying with the rods out at the 800-foot mark. It was amazing. And who could forget Don Garlitts in 1967 said he wouldn't shave till he ran a 6-second pass. He didn't do it until the final when he ran a 6:77 to get the win. Then how about Shirley Muldowney, the great Shirley Muldowney, defeated her old crew chief and tuner, Connie Kalitta, in the final round for her only U.S. Nationals victory. And then Don the Snake Prudhomme, 1970, beats Jim Nicoll when Jim Nicoll loses a clutch, tears the car in half. Snake was crying on the guardrail saying he wasn't going to race again, but Jim was okay, and luckily the Snake came back. And this was one of those finals, 1978, my favorite among many other people, when he took out Mongoose took out the heavily favored Don the Snake Prudhomme after Mongoose has lost his son 2 weeks to cancer.
Apparently your win came in 6th. How about it, Don Garlitts? Tony Schoemacher. It doesn't get any bigger than that. In fact, Tony, some of your greatest moments are some of my greatest memories as well. But Don, let's start with you. We were talking all weekend long. This is the U.S. Nationals, the big go. Everybody knows about it. But when did this race become the U.S. Nationals?
I'm going to have to say 1964, when Wally decided to go back to fuel racing. Prior to that, from 1957, they'd been running gasoline. It was kind of like a sportsman deal. But when he put the fuel back in Indianapolis, I'm going to tell you, this race really became something.
There you go. Here's the photo of that car.
There it is.
Memories.
Swamp Rat 6. She was a beauty.
1964 class winner. I mean, that's an amazing shot. It was an amazing career. And here at Indy. But I want to ask Schumacher, I mean, I'm not going to say you're old, but the old and the new here. But Tony, 1996, you went to your first Indy and your first final. Did you ever think that you were going to be able to be contesting his 8 wins? You have 7 now at that time.
Absolutely not. You know, I was just having fun. I was having a good time. I had earned my Top Fuel license the week before with the Peak Brothers out in Denver, Colorado. And, you know, I think Saturday we get the license and they go, hey, do you want to go to Indy? We got in the car, you know, basically drove straight to the U.S. Nationals, end up in the finals round against Corey Mack with Lee Beard tuning the car. And, you know, full circle. You look back at the time, we had a huge weekend. We lose Blaine Johnson. We end up in the finals. We end up having Alan Johnson tune our car for all these years, and now we're racing against him again. We have Corey Mack driving my car and Lee Beard working on the car. It's simply an amazing world. It all started right here back in 1996.
Same year I started as well. I remember each and every one of them. Let's go ahead and compare the two drivers here. Show them what they've done in their career. Don, you didn't race a lot of NHRA races back in the day compared to Tony's numbers.
Well, they didn't have as many NHRA races. In '64, there was only 2, the Winter Nationals and the U.S. Nationals. So you didn't have as many races to run in. But Tony's a young man. He's liable to win twice as many U.S. Nationals as I won.
It is certainly possible.
You bet.
Well, you know what? Tony Schumacher and one other gentleman are the only guys to ever win this race since the year 2000, and that man standing by with Gary Gerald.
Boy, Larry Dixon has had a great history here at the U.S. Nationals, winning it 3 times overall, including his rookie year back in the mid-90s. He's the #1 qualifier at the moment. He's coming off a win, his 5th of the year at Reading. A lot of good things happening here, but you're a guy that has a great sense of history and perspective. What's it like when you walk away from the U.S. Nationals with one of those Wallies cradled in your arms?
Yeah, the perspective right now after talking to Schumacher and Garlitts, I don't have enough Indy wins to even be on this show right now.
Oh, come on.
But no, I mean, this is what every drag racer, you know, dreams of, is being able to win this race. And all the years I spent coming here with my dad, you know, towing our Top Fuel car from, you know, Southern California, and we'd come back here and you just try and do well because everybody else was here. You know, in my first year driving and competing, to be able to go home with 1, you know, it was more than I ever thought I'd get in my lifetime, and been fortunate enough to win a couple more. It's yeah, it's, you know, but you know, Garlitts and Schu, you know, knocking off as many wins as they have, you know, I'm not worthy.
9 thousandths of a second separate the top 5. He's currently #1, hoping to hang on today.
Great stuff, G-Man. Time now for our Geico Power Sports matchup to watch as we look forward to qualifying today. Granted, there's not going to be a winner, but there's a great matchup.
That's right. Antron Bound, Corey McClellan, Schu's teammate, has been running very good with that new in-house chassis. And it's going to be fun to watch those cars go side by side.
You love Antron, right?
How's that?
Snake, you love Antron.
Yes, I do. I'm going over and start the car in a few minutes.
Go ahead and stalk me right here. I called you Snake. He's a legend too, but you are, of course, Big Daddy Don Garlitts. It's time now for our fan question. Let's find Zachary Vidito. He's got a question out there. Fire away, Zach.
Hey, Tony, if you raced Big Daddy in his prime, who would win?
Ooh, that's a good question. Ooh, let's stir it up a little bit.
Yeah, man, I would have to say I would have to get it handed to me by this man next to me. It's just because, you know, he would have had developed, at the time, he would have developed something to outdo me. And back then, that's what he did time and time again. It was innovation. Right now, our cars are all replicas, man. We have the same machine. It's not the same world. If I had to race him back in his prime, he would have had a machine that would have outdone me, and that's just the facts.
That would have been very compelling. Can you guys stick around?
Sure.
Roberto wants to know from North Carolina, how did you get the name Big Daddy? That's a great question.
Well, it came right here. It's 1962. They were on gasoline, and they wanted me to come up here and run a gas dragster. I'd never done that. Well, I wasn't running too good, and I had my two little toddlers with me, and they were saying, oh, he's over the hill. I was 30 years old. Daddy Garlitts this and Daddy Garlitts that. And I jumped in Connie Kalitta's dragster. He wanted me to make a run in it so he could listen to it. This was in the days when it was just you and your wife running the car. And so I drove Kalitta's car down the racetrack right here, and I was about 60 pounds lighter than Connie. And the car went 180.36, which was the new national record on gas.
Okay.
Bernie Partridge right up in the tower says, well, we're going to have to call him Big Daddy from now on. I'll be darned if it didn't stick.
You know, Tony Schumacher's listening to that story. He's
Good stories.
as we all are. All right, time now for our stat guys, stat of the race. What do you got for us, Lewis?
Well, you take the nearly 100 drivers trying to qualify this weekend for the U.S. Nationals in the pro classes combined. You add up all their trips here. That's 816 races at the Big Go. Warren Johnson's raced here 34 times. Our very own Mike Dunn ran here 16 times, and he won, of course, and that's my stat of the race.
Yeah, good stuff indeed. All right, hey, getting ready for the final round of qualifying here, Mike.
Well, we're going to get this rain out here. We're going to get this off, aren't we?
I hope so, man, because I got a car that's trying to go to #1. We had to be so cautious yesterday, man. We were in the show. We were qualified 18th, you know, looking at possible weather for on Sunday. And the fact was we had to sneak it down the racetrack and still ran just a few thousandths off the #1 spot.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us.
Awesome.
NHRA race day is set now to come to a close. That means it's time to get geared up for some qualifying. We've got it coming your way right now with the man who'll lead our coverage, who's out there in the crowd right now. Paul Page, where are you at?
I'll tell you what, these people come from across the United States and around the world, right here to Indianapolis. This is where it happens, and it happens now. This is the Big Go. Don't